Hi, I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies I love, the alternative, B-rated, cult-style flicks. And this week, it's time for another very underrated comedy. This movie was released in 1997, and it was directed by Brian Spicer, and written by Peter Crabb and Andy Rose, and produced by Bill, John, and Sid Sheinberg, made by the Bubble Factory, and distributed by Universal Pictures. Ladies and gentlemen, McHale's Navy. The movie opens with some bad men meeting on the island of San Marino. The men are meeting with the governor, who has some concerns about the things they might be doing on his island.
But they're minor.
Then we meet the lead villain of this movie, Vladikov, played by Tim Curry. These three men have hired him to carry out their dastardly plans, because he has built quite a reputation for himself.
He is perhaps the second greatest terrorist in the world.
And he's totally okay with being number two. Vladikov is there to restore the old world order, so that these men will be in control of the entire world, and make him the number one terrorist in the world.
This guy is a big mistake.
You have no idea. Then we go to a naval base.
To live, right, live, to live.
That is Ensign Parker, played by David Alan Grier. He's the only soldier there that takes anything seriously. But he takes everything a little too seriously.
Request permission to commence flag-raising ceremony, sir. Been granted, Ensign Parker.
See? Although he does take things way too seriously, he does let our lead, Quentin McHale, played by Tom Arnold, onto the base for a cool whistle. Quentin McHale is the base's former lieutenant commander. McHale is there because his old crew sells stuff for him on the base. Among his crew, there's Happy, played by French Stewart, and Virgil, played by Bruce Campbell. McHale's newest product is ice cream.
Skip, any of these low-fat?
They're all low-fat, Willie, if you spit out the chunks.
But why would anyone do that? But now McHale leaves because he's got more business to attend to. Then McHale goes to the base medical facility to bribe the corpsman into giving him some medicine for the island by giving the corpsman his fix.
Orange, strawberry, banana.
Light.
Fruit juice?
Oh.
You know what, I can't blame him. We all have the things we're addicted to. You French roasted little slut! Then McHale goes to trade for some satellite photos.
Thank you, buddy.
I feel like that would be Josh. Basically, even though McHale is no longer in the Navy, he runs this base. So what were the satellite photos of?
Alright, this is the third base coach giving the steal sign.
Yeah, satellite photos are actually very expensive. So I seriously doubt that the Navy would not notice that he was taking satellite photos for a Little League team that McHale coaches. Then again, when you think about it, that wouldn't be the worst way that the government has wasted our money. McHale is so good to this Little League team, he's even gotten them new jerseys.
And you win today, next week you get pants.
But then one of McHale's kids, Roberto, comes up and tells McHale that he took some photos of some suspicious characters the night before.
Hey, I told you a million times, knock off the spy stuff.
So he takes Roberto's film and tells him to get ready for the game. At the base, they had a new CO that was going to arrive in about a week. But he's there now.
Oh man, we gotta hide our stuff.
And of course, Ensign Parker is there to greet the new CO. Smooth. The CO is Captain Wallace B. Binghamton, played by Dean Stockwell, rest in peace, and his second in command is Lieutenant Penelope Carpenter, played by Deborah Messing. This was about a year before Will and Grace came out. As soon as he gets to the docks, Binghamton sees something and asks what it is.
This is a tarp, short for tarpaulin.
I do that kind of thing to people all the time. Like my wife will be looking at her phone and she'll be like, "Oh my god, what is this?" And I'll just respond, "It's a phone, honey." She loves it. The men line up, poorly, and Carpenter sees one of them whispering to another and figures that it's some innuendo about her. So she wants to know what it is.
I'd like her to inflate my raft. I'd like to swab her deck.
So what was it?
Swabbing the deck one.
Ouch. Willie, played by comedian Henry Cho, recognizes the CO.
Hey, Happy. Ain't that the guy who sunk the Love Boat?
And that's why he got assigned to this base. Binghamton decides to do a bunk inspection. And then he goes in and realizes that one of the crew, Happy, has no bunk. Well, it turns out he does have a bunk, it's just not in there.
It's out there on up in the tree, sir.
Are you a soldier or a lost boy?
Anything found sleeping up in a tree after lights out will be shot.
Guess you're just gonna have to sleep on the ground. Although I agree, that kind of sucks. You ever tried to sleep in a hammock? It's awesome. I mean, getting into a hammock sucks, but once you're in, it's like heaven. As wonderful a job as they did hiding all this stuff, Binghamton finds it. And he's not happy. French Stewart is. So he's having it rounded up and taken to the dump. Well, at least McHale got his inventory back. As Vladikov is setting up the base on the baseball field that the kids were using, he notices the shirt of the Little League team says McHale, and he asks about it. The governor unloads everything he knows about McHale. Although this makes Vladimir worry about what would happen if somebody asked the governor about him.
I don't know anything about you, except that you're the second best terrorist in the world.
Vladikov goes to talk to his psychiatrist David about the fact that he's so upset about being second best. He hates when people remind him that he's only the second best. But his psychiatrist wants to help him.
Even if you are holding my entire family hostage in Bangladesh.
I don't know if that's good for the whole doctor-patient relationship. McHale is home, and he's developing the photos that Roberto took.
Vladikov?
Turns out they know each other. As a matter of fact, you could say they're a little at odds. And McHale scrambles to get out of there before the second missile hits, and barely does. McHale rushes down to his PT boat, which is his only chance, is to get in his boat and take the fight to Vladikov. But there is a problem with that. He hasn't really maintained certain things on his boat, as he hasn't used them in a long time. Being that McHale's boat was not battle-ready, this does mean that Vladikov and his very battle-ready stealth boat gets the upper hand.
I guess this makes us even.
We'll find out for what later. McHale drifts to the Navy base, and of course they rescue him and take him to the Navy hospital. Once he's conscious, Binghamton comes in and says he's going to be brief.
My name is Captain Wallace B. Binghamton.
That's brief.
It is a mouthful. Can't we just call you Wally?
You know, your boyfriend's kind of rude.
I'm not her boyfriend.
Did you guys break up?
Oh, dude, you're not helping yourself here.
Throw this bum in the brig.
You should have kept your mouth shut. Besides, you really think that Stockwell could have gotten with messing? That's like a huge leap, like a quantum leap, if you will. The next night, the governor has been telling Vladikov how his people are getting antsy and upset about Vladikov's base being so close to the village. So Vladikov says he's going to do something about that.
Come on, guys. It's party time.
The governor should have expected this.
How much did he pay you to betray your people?
A lot, but I think he should have, skipped this whole fiesta. They're going to kill him. And because the people are ready to kill him, the governor goes to Vladikov for help.
Take my hand. Thank you. Psych.
Ah, the 90s. When psych was a way to insult people. Like, hey, you're very attractive. Psych, you're ugly. Nowadays, people are like, oh, psych, I love that show. Now we go to the Pentagon with Admiral Cobra, played by Ernest Borgnine, the original McHale. Rest in peace. They inform Cobra of the situation with Vladikov, and Cobra asks who's in charge of the naval base.
Isn't that the guy that sank the Love Boat?
Cobra contacts Binghamton and tells him, don't engage Vladikov. He needs this done quietly, and he knows just the guy for the job.
His name is Quentin McHale.
Ouch. But as far as McHale's response,
No!
he don't wanna. Binghamton sees the opportunity, though, and tells McHale he's gonna tell Cobra that he couldn't find him, and wants McHale to just leave the area.
You know, you're annoying. No wonder she dumped you.
I love a good throwback. But when McHale gets home,
He destroyed everything.
so now McHale is back! But he does have some demands. Like, he only wants to answer to Cobra, he wants his own base, he wants his old crew back.
I want tents and supplies for 200 people, and also 6 dozen freezers.
That's a lot of freezers. I want some ice cream. Of course, Binghamton has no choice but to agree, so McHale is back.
Man, this thing shrank.
I hate when that happens. To get his men's spirits up, he not only shows them their new base, but shows them that he found all their stuff and is giving it back to them. He even has something for Happy.
Here's a
sensitive side to you, Skipper.
He's very happy. The village people come to get their tents and supplies, also help fix up McHale's boat, and we also see Ensign Parker there, who was assigned to spy on McHale by Binghamton. That's not good. Inside the headquarters, McHale and his men are having a meeting about Vladikov.
Let me tell you, my name and this face are two things he's never going to forget.
We'll get to that. Suddenly they hear Ensign Parker, and of course they fish him out and help him up, and they want to know why Binghamton is having him spy on them. But Parker has a demand first.
Come on and pop me.
So Virgil obliges. That blows. McHale extends an offer to Parker. Instead of going back to Binghamton, join them.
I love you guys. Body check.
McHale's men aren't as thrilled. They sneak over to Vladikov's base in some very ridiculous face paint, and they have Ensign Parker guard their only way out. Of course, Ensign Parker is not happy about this. They're never happy about that assignment in these movies, but you know what? In real life, they do need somebody to guard that stuff. But being upset about it, Parker wanders off and goes into a little area where he finds some stuff and breaks it. And so he won't get caught, he awkwardly takes the stuff. But as it turns out, everybody stole some stuff.
Okay, we can't take everything. Leave the guns.
Oh, hell no. When they get back, Cobra is happy to find out that what Ensign Parker actually broke was the core cylinder to Vladikov's big missile.
But I think it's only going to slow Vladikov down. It's not going to stop him.
Well, someone's a glass half empty kind of guy. They also mentioned that they heard Vladikov talk about something called Thekler. Cobra tells him what it is.
Secret Satellite Tracking Weapons Guidance System, or SITWIGS.
So why is it called Thekler?
We already had something called SITWIGS.
Cobra informs them that they need to jam Vladikov's signal. But in order to do that, they need some of the Russian equipment that Vladikov has.
Well, when I think of Soviet era crap, I think of Cuba.
They go to Cuba so McHale can meet with one of his old friends, Armando.
Hey, McHale, what's happening, man?
Played by Tommy Chong. Among the equipment that McHale gets, he also needs some parts for his boat.
I got a cousin, man. Ernesto, he'll take care of you.
McHale takes his friend and mechanic Jose from the island to go get the boat parts. He leaves Ensign Parker in charge of the men to get the stuff back to his boat and load it up. But after McHale leaves, they inform Parker that they need an Olsen coaxial monitor cable.
You guys better get 2 of those Olsen coaxial monitor cables.
Good thinking. But they go to a bar.
Every man for himself.
I'm starting to think they were lying. McHale meets Ernesto.
Yeah, we're twins.
I thought you were cousins.
Yeah, we're twin cousins.
Is that a thing?
Even my dog, man, looks just like me.
That I believe. Whatever, he's not there for that crazy family, he's there for boat parts. Back at the bar, the men, of course, doing their own thing, ended up getting into a big bar fight. So the police have been called, and, of course, only the soldiers are being arrested. And just as I suspected, there is no such thing as an Olsen coaxial monitor cable. The only one of the crew to get away was Gruber. He gets back to the boat and reports that the men have been arrested. So McHale takes Gruber and Parker to go get the men out of jail. McHale's big plan is to dress up Parker like Castro.
Release the American pig dogs into our custody.
And somewhere John Leguizamo is pissed. He tells the cop that El Presidente also wants his cigars.
He'd be honored to have your shirt and your tie and your sunglasses and why not your pants too?
This doesn't seem a little off to you? Duh! Apparently not, as somehow this actually works. He gets the men out of jail and they all escape. When McHale and his men finally get back to their own headquarters, Roberto is there looking through some files.
How did my father die, McHale?
It turns out that Roberto's father and McHale were best friends in the Navy, until Roberto's father uncovered a plan from Vladikov to kill everybody, and Roberto's father was able to save everyone, but at the cost of his own life.
Kill Vladikov myself.
Good luck. Cobra lets McHale know that he and a SEAL team will be there later, but there is a problem.
We'll talk soon.
Vladikov was listening. Vladikov's missile is almost ready to launch at the Pentagon, but before he goes to the launch, we see exactly what he is so angry at McHale about. McHale did that to him. So I gotta say, if I were him, I'd want to kill him too. Lieutenant Carpenter comes to tell McHale that she has realized that Binghamton is an idiot, and she wants to help. McHale and his men are about to block Vladikov's signal, but to do it, they're throwing a big ol' shindig.
But why the comedy club? Why all this stuff?
Because he can't do anything without it being a big spectacle. When Vladikov makes the launch...
Stole Vladikov's vodka! Surprise!
Ouch!
This is horrible!
I don't know. I thought the black guy was pretty good.
Oh, dude, he's not going to take that well. He commonly shoots his own men. Carpenter and McHale bond while McHale tells her the story of Roberto's father and how he died.
The Navy wouldn't acknowledge our mission, so his family got nothing.
Which is why McHale lives on the island taking care of his family. Which is pretty much the entire island. When Carpenter gets back to the base, Binghamton is gearing up to go take on Vladikov.
This is not your mission, sir. It is McHale's.
Carpenter informs Binghamton that she's going to report him.
The lieutenant is confined to the brig. Escort her there immediately.
She'll get out of it. See? Vladikov is talking to the Old World Order. Which sounds like a knockoff of a wrestling faction.
What's that?
Yeah, he killed them.
Don't judge me, David. You're hindering my spiritual growth.
As messed up as it is, it's always wonderful when you take the crap that a psychologist says to you and throw it back in their smug faces. Carpenter gets to McHale and informs him that Binghamton is going after Vladikov. But before they can get there, Binghamton has already set off a flare. That's some flare. While Binghamton is basking in his glory, Virgil and Parker find that not only was the base rigged to blow, but nobody was there. They do, however, find David the psychiatrist and ask where Vladikov is.
He shot me.
Okay, but where's his men at least?
We all resigned.
The only thing shocking about that is they didn't do it sooner. At this point, they get a video message from Vladikov telling them that he is going after Cobra. Why would you tell somebody that? I never get that in these movies. Why do you tell them the plans? They're just gonna stop you! And of course, they head into action. When Vladikov is on Cobra's tail... Oh, Roberto. As McHale comes to attack, Vladikov radios McHale.
Say, hey, buddy.
McHale!
Damn kids! But Roberto gets out and Parker goes after Roberto to save him. So that obstacle is out of the way. But now...
We're in!
So McHale fires a torpedo. And thanks to Roberto messing with those wires... Vladikov is a sitting duck. As for Roberto...
Thanks a lot, little buddy.
He saved Parker. As a thank you for the successful mission, not only does everybody get medals, but the Navy rebuilt the ball field for the kids.
Thanks, Dad.
Dad?
How's my old boat running?
Being that Ernest Borgnine was McHale in the original series, and this McHale is supposed to be his son, they don't really confirm it, but it's heavily insinuated that Cobra is actually McHale Sr., and this movie takes place in the same universe as McHale's Navy, the TV show. So now everyone's happy.
Looks like I'm retired again.
Well, everyone except...
Congratulations. You too, Carpenter.
So there you have it. That's the underrated comedy, McHale's Navy. I love this movie. But it tanked. Very, very bad. This movie had a budget of $42 million and did a box office of $4.5 million. So yeah, this movie had a huge loss. And even with its small cult following, I doubt it's made its money back. This movie has gotten extremely bad reviews. In fact, on the website Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 3% approval rating. However, here's where it gets interesting to me. I've yet to read one reviewer who gave this movie a good review. However, if you go and look at audience reviews, most of them love this movie. Now, I'm not going to pretend that all of them do. In this case, you'll find plenty where they don't like this movie either. But the majority of the audience who have seen this movie actually love this movie because they take it for what it is. It was a funny movie. It wasn't the most original, it wasn't the most fancy, but it was funny. In fact, I will say this. I haven't met many people who have seen this movie, but everybody I've met who's seen this movie has loved it. It was so hated, though, that the year it came out, it was nominated for a Razzie for Worst Remake/Sequel. But it lost that Razzie to Speed 2 Cruise Control. Which, I've yet to meet anybody who did like that movie. Most of the casting in this movie I did like. It had Bruce Campbell, it had Henry Cho, it had French Stewart. Tim Curry, Ernest Borgnine. Couldn't go wrong with a lot of this. Even had David Alan Grier, who did a great job as Ensign Parker, even though apparently that part was originally offered to Jason Alexander, who turned it down because he didn't really care for the script. The only casting thing I would say could have been done different and better in this movie was actually the lead. Sorry, but I'm not the hugest fan of Tom Arnold. He's okay when he does certain things. He was okay as McHale, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they couldn't have gotten anybody better. They could have. Quite easily, in my opinion. Funny enough, this is the second time that Tim Curry and Bruce Campbell were in a movie together. The first one was Congo. However, like Congo, even though they were in the movie together, they had literally no screen time together. However, as far as the movie itself, like I said, reading the reviews from the critics, they all took it too seriously. They all expected it to be this super intelligent, wonderfully put together comedy, when really it wasn't even built to be that. It's just another comedy of errors, and it's a fun movie, which is honestly what me and my brother loved about this movie when we first saw it. It wasn't over-the-top funny or anything, but something about it, it's just a really, really fun movie. And honestly, every time I watch this movie, it puts me in the mood for ice cream. Which means after this review, I'm going to go get some ice cream. So on that note, if you're like me and you can take a movie for what it is, then I do highly recommend that you seek out, check out, and help build a larger cult following to McHale's Navy. It's a great movie. So there you have it. That's my movie review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of McHale's Navy. Love you guys.